Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for attending the National Lunch and Learn League with Annie Mac Home Mortgage. I hope that you were able to enjoy a nice lunch and networking with your fellow real estate professionals. And we want to thank the mortgage branch in your local market, and especially the mortgage professional that's in the room with you today for hosting this National Lunch and Learn League. Annie Mac Home Mortgage seeks to become the #1 realtor referred mortgage company in every market we work in. And the way that we can do that is to grab the attention, hopefully gain some appreciation and loyalty from the real estate community by extending an olive branch that we call Annie Mac Works and the My Work Suite. We also back it up with this once a month opportunity for a national lunch and learn league that we host on the first Wednesday of every month. I want you to see the intention behind Annie Mac Works. I want you to see the intention of every mortgage professional in all those communities across the United States. And that is that we feel like we can make quick work of the purchase mortgage referral business with our real estate referral partners if we were always advancing the objectives of our real estate referral partners. And this graph that you're looking at right here really speaks to the underlying mission and vision of Annie Mac Home Mortgage, our culture, our sales force, our operations, and the Annie Mac Works productivity platform. And that's the reality that in markets like Denver, in Boulder, and Laguna Springs, California, yes, we hear you out there out west, all across the Northeast, and throughout the mid-Atlantic states in Maryland and Virginia, and certainly in the southeastern part of the United States, down in Georgia and Florida, where we have a lot of real estate offices that are participating today. We really see a void in pass me down wisdom from the elite top earners down to the emerging associates. And one of the great joys and discoveries that I've had personally as one of the founders of Annie Mac Works is the discovery that those folks on the right-hand side of the continuum that you're looking at right now, the folks that consistently make over $100,000 a year selling real estate, the elite top 2 or 3 percenters, the people in your room right now that make over $150,000, $250,000 a year, those are the real estate professionals that have an unquenchable thirst for personal and professional development. When we started the Annie Mac Works productivity platform back in 2008, we were facing some pretty stiff headwinds in the mortgage and real estate industries. And what we discovered is that even at a point of crisis as significant as the mortgage meltdown and the real estate bust, we discovered that the elite real estate professionals from across the country were craving personal and professional development. What's new? What's different? What's changing? What's going on in the REO sector? What's going on in the short sale sector? Back in 2008, 9, and 10, we ran a program called Foreclosure Fridays, and the attendance of elite real estate professionals from across the country was tenfold comparative to the emerging associates. When we looked at the emerging associates on the left-hand side of the continuum, the people in those rooms that are making between $0 and $40,000 a year, we found that was 79% of all the real estate licensees in America were making a median income of $18,000 a year. Now, you know what I'm talking about, guys. You're listening and you're saying, could that even be true? That with the same 1.5-inch license that was earned by the people on the left side of the continuum, the same license that was earned by the people on the right side of the continuum was producing exponentially different results. And we started to discover through a tremendous amount of personal contact with real estate agents across the country that what the difference was this seeking of knowledge, this seeking of personal professional development that made the elite producers exceptional in residential real estate. So we created an environment, a conduit for pass me down wisdom. For you as broker owners to renovate your sales force, for you as real estate agents to create a turnkey solution to get, keep, and grow relationships to sellers and buyers. And we started to say something different in the mortgage industry about 7 years ago. We started to say something different to you as realtors. We started to say our success as a mortgage provider, our success as a mortgage banker is measured by your success as a real estate agent. And we started to introduce programs like the AnnieMac Works Productivity Platform, the MyWorks Suite, technology upgrades, and ultimately the National Lunch and Learn League, which you're participating in today. We started to partner with folks at Ramsey Solutions, Dave Ramsey's financial wellness coaches, certified coaches from Ramsey Solutions. We introduced Dr. Andreas Boschor last month, Brian Tracy International Psychology of Selling coach. I partnered with my friend Richard Flint, who is the keynote speaker at 16 NAR conventions, one of the elite personal and professional development gurus that happen to specialize in the residential real estate sector. And then I partnered with my personal friend and mentor, my first coach, Mr. Floyd Wickman. Because we were able to construct the Ramsey Solutions financial wellness coaching just for real estate professionals, we started to get a lot of attention from your brokerages and real estate agents across the country. We started to say to ourselves, if Brian Tracy's organization teaches Boeing's sales force how to sell $700 million jets, would he and his coaches at the Brian Tracy International Organization be effective at teaching you how to sell $700,000 homes? And we collaborated with these organizations to build modules that are offered free from any charge whatsoever to real estate professionals across the country. I think that's significant. I hope that you think that's significant. Floyd Wickman, like I said, my personal friend and mentor, someone who I attended his Sweat Hogs programs back in 1986, 87, 88, and continue to listen to his CDs on dialogue and listing acquisition even to this day. One more thing that we did, and you're going to get a glimpse of as you attend next month's National Lunch and Learn League, we also constructed some professional designations and certifications for real estate agents. The one on the far right is our customer first professional designation, and it focuses on repeat and referral business. It really creates a science and an artistic interpretation of how bedside manner and customer service relationships can manifest in repeat and referral business. It takes a post-closing approach to the residential real estate enterprise, and it says to you as real estate professionals that all of those customers that we closed back in 9, 10, 11 that were short selling their homes, those folks are cycling back to purchasing power today, and they will be buying homes from you tomorrow. We have in August, we're introducing our certified real estate pro in the residential renovation lending sector. AnnieMac's renovation lending sector is a fantastic place for your buyers to purchase homes, renovate those homes, and establish instant equity. We want to teach you how renovation lending works through that certification. And last but not least, in the dead center of your screen, we're going to be offering you a real estate staging expert designation that is an exceptional value proposition, not only for you as a realtor, but maybe most importantly, for your home sellers, the folks that are entrusting you with their listing to sell the most expensive asset that they own. We're going to be working together with you as real estate professionals, helping you properly prepare those listings for the marketplace with a skill set called staging. But we're not going to just give you the education. We're going to give you the tools to walk through the home with your seller and discover equity killers, the things that are holding that house back from selling for top dollar. What's going on at the curb appeal? What's going on at the front entry? What's going on in the living areas, kitchen spaces, pools and patios and bedrooms? Ultimately, how does the master suite strike a consumer emotionally when they walk into it? And these are all of the interpretations of the staging profession. Nationally, there's a phenomenon going on Home and Garden television. I mean, everything about that channel revolves around how to properly prepare or renovate a property for maximizing its equity position. We teach, train, and coach our realtors how to spot deal killers or equity killers like odor, clutter, dirty windows and screens, curb appeal issues, darkness, dampness, and dinginess, even wood rot or cobwebs or ceiling stains that can kill the equity in your seller's home. Last but not least, we back it up with some marketing materials that are all templated and available to you as real estate professionals to court the expired listing market in a different way. Send out postcards, door hangers, and social media content to your friends and family to let them know that you're a staging professional and that you have their best interest in mind for selling their home for 6 to 13% higher prices and selling their home up to 40% faster because you are a certified staging real estate professional. So we do offer you the certification for staging, and that is coming up in next month's Lunch and Learn. If you've already obtained your real estate staging expert designation, congratulations. If you have not obtained the real estate staging expert designation as a courtesy of your mortgage professional in your local market, reach out to that mortgage pro in the room with you today and say, hey, how do I get the real estate staging expert designation? You'll be able to attend Module 1 at our National Lunch and Learn League on the first Wednesday of July. So without further ado, we move to the National Lunch and Learn League. And I can tell you that I am personally excited about the Tony Robbins organization locking arms with Annie Mac Home Mortgage and Annie Mac Works. There are certain cliches in this world, right? There are certain cliches like written goals. What a cliche. Oh my gosh, we've been hearing about that for 35 years. Ever since we started in sales, we've heard the power of proper written goals. What a cliche. Another cliche is business planning. Oh my gosh, how many times will I have to hear about the elite top realtors in your industry harping on business planning? It is such a cliche. Another cliche is the Tony Robbins organization and how they have changed the lives of real estate professionals and industry leaders and thought leaders and community leaders and politicians. Really changed the trajectory of America's elite athletes, exceptional Division I football programs, amazing basketball success stories, national hockey, Olympic hockey teams that lean on Tony Robbins to help them achieve peak performance. Well, this is no cliche, baby. I was a fire walker myself. I was at the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within 3-day workshop personally. And let me tell you what, it transformed so many aspects of my life that would become cliche for me to tell you. But when we use the words change your life, it's not a cliche. You have the power inside of you today to listen intently and understand what changing the trajectory of your real estate career, changing the trajectory of the quality of your relationships, changing your health right now, today, Milton Alave, one of the stars of Robbins Research International, one of the national coaches for Tony Robbins, is going to spend some time with you. And I will tell you, as cliche as it may sound, I am a ravenous fan of the Tony Robbins organization. And I have been to the only place I haven't been with Tony Robbins is the Fiji Experience Retreat that is supposedly a week-long experience at his compound in Fiji, and I intend to do that. It's on my bucket list to do that once before I leave this planet, and I hope I get the opportunity to do it. But without further ado, to improve your performance by integrating a very specific step-by-step process to create lasting change, to help you clearly identify what might be holding you back from achieving your true potential, and ultimately closing the gap between where you are now in your real estate career, in your family life, in your romantic life, in your relationships, in your relationship to your children, and ultimately to get you where you want to be. I'm very, very proud to introduce Milton Alave, Peak Performance just for real estate agents. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you, Annie Mac Home Mortgage, for putting this best foot forward to offer this to real estate agents across the country.
Well, thank you so much, Russ. I am just blown away by what it is that you've been able to create through the National Lunch and Learn League. Just truly amazing just to imagine right now. Hundreds of offices around the country and thousands of realtors literally more or less sharing, breaking bread at this very moment, sitting there about to learn these skills that are designed to take themselves to the next level. So a big thank you to you, Russ, for allowing me to definitely be here with you and thousands of you around the country right now. And I really want to go out and congratulate you for doing something that most people won't do. You see, successful people, they do the things that the failures won't do. And that's why successful people will always have what the failures won't have. So I believe that this moment here that I'm with you more or less has been something that I've been preparing for over the past 17 years. I've been working with the Anthony Robbins companies and more or less rubbing elbows with Tony Robbins for a long, long time. And now I get a chance to showcase some of this information that's helped thousands of people in your arena, in your industry, to take themselves to the next level. So a big congratulations to you. And hey, before we get going as well, Russ and Carrie, you through Annie Mac Works, in other words, the founders of Annie Mac Works, you are doing something amazing. I want to go out there and not only congratulate you, but as well, I want to congratulate all of the mortgage professionals right now that find themselves in an Annie Mac Works home lending office. In other words, congratulations for definitely hashing out this idea. I know that there's a lot of mortgage professionals out there looking at what you're doing and saying, hey, why didn't I think about this one, right? But hey, kudos to you. You guys made it happen. And now many people will definitely benefit from your creativeness and more important, your implementation of this amazing idea. So listen, my name is Milton Olave. And, for the past 17 years, I've teamed up with Anthony Robbins in helping people, business professionals like yourselves, to take themselves to a higher level of profitability by doing the number one thing that will allow them to create those profits is, number one, to grow themselves. So what we want to talk about today is this model of personal growth that not only is going to help you to step up and step out, but at the same time, have your profits just soar through the roof, right? So here's what I want from you this afternoon, okay? The most important thing that you and I can do is definitely unite in how we take this from information in, right? Because you got food in front of you. You may have some distractions. And by the way, here's what I'm going to say to you. If you have anything that at this very moment will distract you from what it is that I'm about to teach you, turn it off, put it aside at least for the next 45 minutes, because this is the very same information that has helped thousands of people just like you to become the top producing agents or maybe mortgage professionals. So I don't know about you, but if there's someone in front of me that has impacted over 7,000 audiences, close to 300,000 people around the country, I would actually tune in to what it is that this gentleman has to say to you. Why? Just because it's making a difference. And where does it come from? Well, it comes from one of the most reputable sources. This information comes from a gentleman by the name of Tony Robbins, a person that's been more or less out there over the past, I would say 35, 40 years, helping people like you and I, more or less to hash out a business plan, and not only a business plan, but a professional and a personal life plan for us to be able to create the results that we deserve, right? So here's what we want to do, because today I want to have a conversation, create this conversation that quickly turns into the intervention that many of you have been looking for, so that you're able to take yourself higher, so that you're able to have your best and highest version show up every single day, right? Because isn't that what success is all about? And speaking of success, Tony Robbins is always asking himself one question. And that question is this: what really all determines our success? And you may think right now, in other words, knee-jerk reaction will say, well, what determines our success? It's our vision. And yes, you're right. At some level, you got to have a personal vision and a professional vision that inspire you, that at least inspire action out of you, right? Because at the end of the day, what is it that gets entrepreneurs like you and I to get ourselves to take action? It's our vision, right? And here's what I believe about success, and you tell me if this is true. Isn't it true that at the end of the day, no one can motivate you and I? In other words, motivation comes from within. And isn't it true as well that no one can push you towards the finish line? That at the end of the day, it's your personal vision that you commit to that's more or less going to have you get up out of bed, stay up late, and remain or have that consistency that we all need to be as successful as we can envision ourselves to be, right? So what determines our success? Many of you will say vision. Many of you will also say goal setting. And while I believe that those people that set goals eventually are more successful than those that don't, I also believe that you got to be relentless in not only goal setting, but also goal getting. Because how many people do we know out there that set the goals, but they never chase the goal, right? In other words, they look at the goal and they think that the goal is too big. For example, many of you look at the goal of making $100,000, $200,000 as a real estate professional as something that's far-fetched. But I'm here to tell you that if you're able to create the plan and commit to the plan and to your DMO, the daily method of operation, and you stick to that daily method of operation day in and day out, you will find the success that you most deserve. So, but what really determines our success according to Tony Robbins? It is this word that I'm about to put on the board called our, and you tell me what it is. It is called our patterns. Now, who in this room can tell me what a pattern is, right? So many times I would ask in a live session, what's a pattern? And someone, maybe like you right now, you'll say, well, a pattern, it's like a habit. And I would agree with you, right? So we have these pre-conditioned, pre-programmed, notice what I just said, because where do these habits come from, right? In other words, if I asked you, where did you learn to brush your teeth? Or did you brush your teeth this morning? Many of you will raise your hands, hopefully, right? And I'll say, when did you learn how to brush your teeth? And you'll say, well, when I was a little kid. So there's where we begin to understand how habit creation and pattern formation start to take place to form either the winner in you or the opposite of a winner, which is a whiner, right? Not a loser, but a whiner. A person that always finds fault in anything and everything and blames everything around them for not being successful. So how many of you would agree with me that if you are able to align with those habits and patterns that give you what you want, and you are able to take the right action? In other words, if you got yourself really, really committed to take the action day in and day out, that at the end of the day, you can have the success that you most deserve, and most importantly, the results that you must have. So, rule number one here is identifying what are some of those habits that will get us what we want. But rule number two is this: identifying some of those self-defeated, in other words, what I call the habits that defeat us, right? The self-imposed, in other words, the self-defeating patterns. You know which ones they are. The excuses, I'll do it tomorrow. Lazy patterns. In other words, the fears that we picked up when we were young, right? In other words, the things that we learned early on, that now as an adult, they're impacting our every existence. They're impacting how we look. They're impacting our performance every single day in the workplace. And they're limiting you in everything that you set yourself out to do. So here's a trick. I want to be able to have a conversation and invite you to this conversation with a great level of inquiry. See, I bring the information. I've been doing this for over 17 years plus. More or less, I can just blur this stuff out like automatic. But why? It's because not only because I teach it, but rather because I live it in my own life, right? And let's talk a little bit about Tony, right? Because boy, has he taught me a lot of principles. And hey, by the way, I am going to invite many of you at the end of this session to a very rare and live encounter, live and in person with Tony Robbins. You know, we have several events coming up here soon. One of them in the Northeast in beautiful Newark, New Jersey, 13,500 people. And if you decide to come and learn with us, hey, it'll be a nice little treat, not only for you personally, but also professionally, all right? But let's talk about Tony Robbins, because he's made a life out of studying people and their patterns and their success. And one of those questions that he's always asked himself is, could it be that those people that are successful, could it be that they think different than the unsuccessful? And you know the answer. The answer is absolutely yes, right? And the other question is this. Could it be that those people that are massively successful, not just successful 1 month, right? Because I meet people that have a great month and then they go into the witness protection program. It's like they're gone. They're like out for the next 8 months. And you say, where's John? Where's Gina? Well, he's gone. Why? Because he didn't have the built-in pattern of consistency. Yeah, he gave it his all, or she gave it her all for 1 month, but they didn't have what I call that pattern of being massively successful, where day in, week out, month out, year after year, you have this built in within you. Yes, you're getting great results, but you know there's always a next level, right? No matter how good you have it, you know if you were more organized, you know if there was better time management, that there would be another level of success, right? The question is, how do we access those levels of success that at the end of the day will allow us to live within that category of those people that are massively successful? And here's the answer, right? The answer is found in what we call the 3 pillars. And by the way, these are the 3 pillars to success that Tony Robbins points to why people are massively successful. So for example, right, the 3 pillars say that at the end of the day, those people that are massively successful, they are successful because they have a strategy, right? In other words, they have a game plan. So how many of you would agree with me that at the end of the day, if you fail to plan, you're only planning to what? Fail, right? So today, I want to challenge you in not only figuring out what it is that you want, but why it is that you want it. Because when the why is big enough, the how automatically what team shows up, right? So what kind of a business do you want? Is it a real estate business that pays you $50,000 a year? Is it a real estate business that pays you $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year? Is it a real estate business that now pays you $1 million plus? Other day I was in Astoria, New York, at a real estate company doing a seminar, and I ran into a 27-year-old guy who's making $1 million plus. He's only been involved in this business for 4.5 years. So you can only imagine his consistency around those habits that more or less these days have him earning that kind of money, right? So strategy. So how many of you would agree with me that at the end of the day, if you're to have the success that you most deserve, that you need to plan your work, but most importantly, work your plan? That's the challenge. A lot of people are great at planning, but they're horrible at implementing that plan, right? Because there's something that holds them back. I don't know, could it be fear, doubt, uncertainty? We call it FUD, right? Are you full of FUD? FUD, mud, right? When you get stuck in mud, it's not a nice experience. And when you get stuck in FUD, that fear, that uncertainty, that doubt, definitely not a good experience. As a matter of fact, it's very frustrating. You could do more, but you're not. Why? That's what we're here to discover. So, what kind of a business do you want? Why do you want it? What's the why that makes you cry? So, is strategy important in order for you to go out there and take yourself to the next level? You tell me from 0 to 10, How important is it for you to have an effective strategy? It's a 10, especially if you want to take this business on in a very serious manner. And if you want to be a serious entrepreneur, guess what? You got to take it serious. It's never a can issue, it's a will issue. All of us can do it. The question is, will you do it, right? So let's go to the second strategy. The second pillar is called activity. Now, how many of you would agree with me that if you wanted to make $100,000 over the next 12 months, that there's a whole lot of activity that you must fully engage in, right? In other words, $100,000 does not show up by itself. True? Well, what are the 4 activities that at the end of the day will give you your best and highest payoff? Well, some people will say prospecting. Well, you tell me, what's another activity? Follow-up, is that important? How about referrals? How about doing something in the area of customer service where now you're able to do something where now those clients or those customers rant and rave about you as a person, about your service, about your commitment, to the point that you become dinner topic. How great would it be if your clients today, customers, the ones that you just more or less got into that dream home, they started to rant and rave about you. And all of a sudden you started to generate more business out of referrals. Would that be good? Absolutely, right? So we talk about this activity, but most importantly, we talk about the last pillar, and the last pillar is something that we call mindset. What is it called, team? It's called mindset. And it's having the ability to unlock and unleash. It's being able to get yourself to take action. It's being able to defeat that little voice in your brain that says, not now, it's not convenient, and being able to say to yourself, this will happen, and it's going to happen right now. It's what Warren Buffett calls the true competitive advantage. And by the way, what's the difference that makes the difference? Why is it that, for example, I walk into a real estate office and I find this ugly statistic, the 397 rule? 3% of the people making 97% of the money. Is it that the 3% are lucky, or is it that the 3% have a different mindset, right? And you and I both know the answer, that 3% definitely has a different mindset, right? So what is it that we're going, or what is it that I'm alluding to right now, is how do we now harness, create, and sustain the right mindset to be able to inch up towards that $100,000 plus in this career, or 2 or 3 or 400,000. Well, how do we get the results that we want is by first identifying what is the gap, right? The gap between where you're at currently and where you want to go. And boy, is Tony Robbins outstanding in helping people to identify those gaps in their lives, whether it be in their health, in their marriage relationships, or maybe, that gap in a certain goal that they have. You want to write a book, you want to take on a certain, hobby. Well, there's always a gap between where you're at and where you want to go if you're honest with yourself. So my question to you right now is this: what's the gap? So if I was to ask you right now, between 1 and 10, in terms of results, 1 being, hey Milton, I'm not getting the result that I deserve, and 10 being, I am doing so well. As a matter of fact, Milton, I am doing so great in this business that I decided to come up with a day out of the week called Cash Giveaway Wednesdays. Where, you're doing so well, you came up with this day out of the week where every Wednesday between 3 and 5, you're giving away $2,000 to anyone that shows up. So where are you? Now, I don't want you to sit there and be cool and kind of like hide behind your own limitations. Because I've met a lot of people over my life and over my professional career, and I was one of them for a long time, who I consider myself to be a really, 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 really cool guy, but I was a broke guy at the same time. And there's nothing worse in life than being a really, really cool guy and a really, really broke person. I'd rather be really, really cool and really, really rich, don't you think? So where are you right now in your business? 1 being, hey Milton, I'm working way too hard for the result that I'm getting. Or maybe it's like, hey Milton, I don't know what's stopping me. I don't know what's getting in the way of me moving forward. All right, so who here is between a level 1 and a level 2, right? Level 1 and a level 2 person, many times is a person that more or less closes a deal every 3 to 4 months, right? It's like, you can do one every single month, but it's like you don't have the urgency. You're not connected to that large and compelling vision. It's like, I know I could do it. Or maybe you got frustrated somewhere along the way And for you, you stop trying, right? So where are you? 1 or 2? 3 or 4 is a person that maybe is making things happen. Every 90 days, a deal is showing up. 5 or 6, you got a deal going or a transaction going every single month. 7 or 8, boy, things are awesome. You got 3, 4 deals in the funnel, or 3, 4 deals that you're closing every single month, right? 9 or 10, you're giving money away. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 deals a month, right? So I haven't found a 10 yet in my 17 years plus of doing this business. Now, most of the time when I ask this question in the live setting, I find that most of the room is more or less at a level 3, right? Now, if you're looking at this from left to right, there's good news. If you're a 3 out of a possible 10, it means something. What do you think it means? And I'll give you a clue. There's room for you to go to the next level, right? So, if there's room for us to go to the next level financially, let's examine if there's room for us to go to the next level in other areas of our lives. So we've given you a worksheet called the Peak Performance Worksheet. And on this worksheet, there's something called the Wheel of Life. And my question to you is, left to right, is there room for you to go to the next level in the area called health? Well, you know the answer, of course. How about emotion and meanings? I'll give you an example. Let's say you're the kind of person that, you got a deal that you believe is going to close, and all of a sudden it falls through. And all of a sudden you feel bad, and you go into hiding, and you don't want to climb out of bed because a deal fell through. And by the way, those people that are a master of their emotions are masters of their lives. Those people that are able to get right back on the saddle and continue to march forward, those are the people that will definitely succeed and thrive and continue to move forward. Not the person that at the first sign of defeat more or less retreats and goes back. So is there room for you to grow in that area? The answer is yes. How about in the area of your relationship with your significant other? Oh God, yes, right? So we come to the understanding that at any given time, there's room for us to grow, right? Now, if we look at this, though, from right to left, the story's not so thrilling, okay? Because if you're a 3 out of a possible 10, does that mean something? And the answer is yes. So could that mean that if you are a 3 out of a possible 10, because I'll show you something. What's going on with this empty space right here if we're talking finances? Could it be that you're leaving a whopping 70% of your potential income on the table every single day? Now, I want to ask you, if there was ever a time for you that you cannot afford to leave 70% of your potential income on the table, it's when? Now, right? And by the way, let me ask you a question, being playful here. How many of you are so in love with the idea of leaving 70% of your potential income on the table? And if you are, please put up your hands so all of us can definitely clap for you. Right? So none of us are thrilled at the idea of leaving 70% of our potential income on the table, right? So how many of you can gain a sense of appreciation and or find value in giving yourselves a whopping 70% pay increase over the next 3, 6 months, 12 months? Who would like that? All of us. By the way, that's exactly what we're going to teach you here with Tony Robbins. How do you remove the emergency brake? How do you get rid of the emotional barriers? How do you get rid of those things? Excuses that get in the way of your better success. Now, here's a question for you. What's getting in the way of you being a level 8, a level 9, or a level 10? I want you to get super honest with yourself. Here's what I know about breakthrough. There's no breakthrough unless you break yourself down. On your worksheet, there's a section called What's Holding You Back. I want you to go on and take, as a matter of fact, take as long as you can over the next 30 seconds. Just kidding. Take as long as you can over the next minute and a half. And I want you and I to do something that most successful people do. They get themselves to be so committed that they start to understand what are some of the underlying principles. Listen what I just said. Underlying. In other words, what are the things that many times you lie to yourself about that get in the way of your better success? So on your worksheet, left-hand side, there's something called What's Holding You Back. Go on and write down what you feel may be getting in the way of you and your better success. And by the way, I'm going to help you, okay? Because on this board, I'm going to put what are some of the top things that people say to me around the country as I walk into real estate offices, mortgage offices, and these are the things that I hear as excuses for people not closing more deals. Most brokers would agree that it's not a can issue, rather it's a will issue that we have. It's not a market condition, it's a mindset situation. It's our mindset that gets in the way of our better success. Tony Robbins likes to say that 80% of our success has all to do with our mindset. 20% is the mechanics. So let's figure out what are some of those mindset situations, or what are some of those underlying things that you say to yourself that stop you from closing more deals. I'll tell you my top 5, the things that I hear the most while I erase the board. So maybe some of you right about now, you're thinking, well, Milton, it's just that I don't have time. So I don't have time, Milton. So number 1 is no time, right? Maybe some of you are saying, well, Milton, that marketing thing, I understand that I got to market myself and I got to brand myself, but I have no money, right? When is now the best time for you to start investing in yourself so you can now have money, right? It's been said that if you fill up your brain with the right things, your pockets will definitely flow, right? In other words, abundance will flow out of your pockets, right? But if you do nothing, you can't expect nothing. In other words, if you do nothing to get ahead, then at the end of the day, you won't get ahead. Catch my drift? So I also hear, well, Milton, it's just scary. It's fear rejection, or fear of the unknown. Other people would say to me, Milton, you know what? It's just comfort zone. I'm in that comfort zone. I don't know why I'm still there. Well, how long have you been in that comfort zone, Gina? I don't know, 10 years? Whoa. Is it costing you a lot? Absolutely, right? Some people would say complacency, right? The mattress of failure is called complacency, right? Some people would also say, well, Milton, I'm just lazy, right? And others will say, I think it's procrastination. I say I'm going to do it, but then I'm not really sure when. And by the way, how many of you, I normally ask this in a live setting, how many of you have procrastinated at one time or another? Come on, kind of like show me half a hand. All right, the rest of you can raise your hands later. I get it, guys. All right. So I hear too young, too old. I hear it's the market. I hear it's the buyers are liars. I hear a lot, trust me, as I do these strategy sessions around the country. Now, for now though, all right, because some of you right about now have a built-in list. In other words, you just wrote down a list of the things that hold you back. I want you to quickly look at that list. Let's examine it together. Let's become good coaches, all right? Now, look at that list and ask yourselves right now, what do we label that list, right? You got your list, I got my list, okay? By the way, this is not my list. It's just the list that I hear from people around the country. So let's just say that your mentor was in the room, and I asked your mentor, what do we call these things on the board? What would he or she say? They'll probably say, okay, well, these are excuses, obstacles. Well, just to keep it simple, is it okay if we can call these excuses for now? Yes? Okay, so let's call these excuses, okay? And my question is this, are your excuses for not closing more deals? Because remember, it's not a can, you do it. It's not a can issue. It's a will issue. It's will you do it. Are these excuses costing you a little or a lot of money? If I was to ask your mentor, been there, done that, a mentor, a person that's been able to navigate through the rough terrains and has still managed to create what I call the results that he or she's capable of. So a mentor is also a person that calls it like it is. So if I was to ask you right now, are these excuses costing you a little or a lot? What would you say? I know your eyeballs are like popped open right now. You're probably saying, whoa, Milton, they're costing me a lot, right? So let me ask you another question. Is it true that when they cost you in one area, could they potentially cost you in another? So for example, I ask realtors and mortgage professionals and sales professionals every single day as I do this. I'd say, hey, listen, when you don't bring in the right amount of finances into your household, does it now impact the relationship with your significant other? And many of them say, whoa, yes. And I'd say, when your relationship with your significant other is now jolted because of finances, does that affect your emotions? So as we take a look at the wheel of life on our worksheet right now, We come to the understanding that one area starts to ping pong against each other. In other words, it impacts your finances. These things now impact your performance. They now impact your emotions. They now impact your relations. Now they impact how you look at this career. You look at it as a fly-by-night type of thing. You don't look at it with the level of focus that this career deserves. And I meet a lot of people out there that are more or less dabbing in and out of different things. And they don't focus. Why? Because at the end of the day, they're in what I call retrieval mode. They're in what I call, fear mode. Where it's like, it didn't work, so let's go figure out if this works. And now they're lost. They're lost in hopelessness. Could that be you? Where you want this career to work, but at the same time, it's not working because you have a lot of these guys that definitely are against you. So let me ask you a question. Let's just say that, you have the desire. Let's just put desire. So you got one little thing called, which is actually big, the desire to definitely come out on top. But at the end of the day, you got 5, 7, 8, possibly 10 limitations. Because by the way, what do we call these on the board? We call them self-imposed limitations. And actually, Tony Robbins at his Unleash the Power Within program, he says that the reason why we're not successful is because of our own BS. What do you think that says? Belief system. He says every behavior is belief driven, ladies and gentlemen, right? For example, you think about prospecting. And if your primary belief is fear, are you going to get yourself to take the action day in and day out? And you and I both know the answer is absolutely not, right? So, where do we go with these, right? Let's just say that you have 5 of these limitations against you, stacked up against one another. And you got this empowering belief. You got the desire. Hey, the reason why we're not succeeding is not also because of a limitation, but we're outnumbered. It's a mathematical equation. It's 7 against 1. So you can want it all day long, but at the end of the day, if these things are bigger than your commitment, then guess what? Nothing happens. So I got a question for you. Because now that we're talking about commitment, must we find the inner commitment for us to get rid of these? Yes or no? And you and I both know the answer. The answer is yes. Because, hey, I meet people that literally they spend their whole lifetime looking for success, but they never find it. Because what's literally against them, stacked up against them, is their own limitations. So guess what? It's a mathematical equation in terms of why people are not successful. It's 7 against 1. So can you ever climb yourself out of a battle when you got 7 people against you? And the answer is no. So what's the definition of insanity? You know what it is. Backwards and forwards, right? In other words, expecting a different result, but you stay doing the same thing. So how many of you would agree with me that you'll never be successful by staying in what I call the current limitations? So how many of you would agree with me that in order for you to break out and break through, you must literally confront and face the very same things that are stopping you from maximizing you, from having your best and highest version come out every single day, from finding that level of consistency that's there. It's there. The trick is, how do you get yourself to be consistent? So here's what I want to do. I want to share quickly with you, all right, that there's 2 what I call belief systems. I hope that you have the second one. There's what we call an LBS. And an LBS is something called a limited belief system. And that's why we have the 397 rule. 3% of the people make 97% of the money. It's because 3% of the people, they have a different mindset. They have a way of operating, they have a way of behaving, they have a way of getting themselves to take action that the 97% simply won't. Not because they can't, just because they themselves stop themselves by giving themselves excuses day in and day out. All right, so where are we going with this? The other side of success is found in what we call our empowering beliefs, EBS, right? And for $1 million on a trip to Disneyland, what's an empowering belief system designed to do? You get it. Empower us to have everything that we deserve, right? Now, where do you think most people live? On the limited side or on the empowering side? Okay, and there you begin to understand why people don't have what they want, why people don't have the level of energy, zest for life. They don't have the body that they deserve. They don't have the finances that they deserve. And instead of moving forwards, they're moving backwards. Because every single day, it's their self-defeating limitations that are getting the best of them. But let me ask you a question. How many of you would agree with me that if you are to be as successful as you deserve, then you got to find that level of commitment within you to get rid of these things, right? Because can you get rid of these things through a simple conversation? And the answer is absolutely what? Not. And by the way, many of you will say, well, Melton, I think I'll go home and I'll try it tonight. Well, let me ask you a question there, buddy. For how long have these limitations, or the ones that you put on your paper, for how long have they been part of your life? A day? A week? Or a lifetime? And if you're honest with yourself, they've been with you for a lifetime. So could it be that you've had a lifetime of limiting yourself, of having, being, and doing whatever it is that you want? And most people, if they're honest with themselves, they'll say, absolutely. I've been my worst enemy. So when is now the best time for you to get you out of the way? When is now the best time for you to reach higher, step out, step up? When is now the best time to hire the coach or get the help to get rid of these things? Because can you do it on your own? Well, some of you say, yeah, really. Because if you could have done it on your own, wouldn't you have done it right about now? Right? So that's where we say, come spend a weekend with us. Come invest some time in the most important person, which is you. And come invest it with the #1 success coach on the planet, Tony Robbins, who specializes in helping people to get rid of that emergency brake, get rid of those things that really get in the way, right? And I'm making a call out to many of you. And here's why. Because what I'm about to teach you now, right? A model where you can now predict your income, 3, 6 months, 12 months, 12 years and on and forever. In other words, when I learned this model as a young kid, right, a young Latino kid from Colombia, okay, I'm 22 years of age, okay, and I was just uncomfortable with life. You know, the role models around me weren't the role models that I figured, you know, will take me to the next level. And I said, you know what, man, I need a new mentor. Love dad, love mom, but I need a new mentor, right? So I said, I need to step out and step up, and I need to go and apply what Tony teaches, the law of association, right? Who you hang out with, you become, right? So if you don't have what you want, you got to start to examine what it is that you have in terms of associations and relationships, right? Mom would always say to me, son, if you hang out with 5 broke people, chances are that very soon you'll be number 6. And I said, ooh, I said, Mom, I don't want to be, you know, that person that, you know, ends up like my buddies. So I started to make certain shifts. And I started to more or less take the actions. Felt uncomfortable because when you go to break the old pattern, it feels uncomfortable, right? Because it's like it wants to pull you right back. But it felt uncomfortable. But I said, you know what, man? I'm willing to go through the uncomfortable of life to be able to eventually find the results that I deserve. And boy, have I found them. And this model of success I'm about to teach you right now, ahora mismo, ya mismo, right now, okay, is designed to literally help you to predict the results that you most deserve. So are you ready for it, okay? So let's take a look at what we call our pattern boxes, okay? So we started with the idea of making $100,000 in this business. And I'll tell you something, it can be very easy if you believe that you can make that kind of money. And the reason why I say this is this, because you'll never outperform what you believe you can earn or you can perform. It's highly impossible for you to go out there and earn more money than what you believe you can earn. Because if your mindset is set at only making $32,000 a year and you believe that's all you can make, you'll never make 33. You'll never make 34. So let's talk about changing the pattern of belief. So my question is this. If we're going to talk about earning $100,000 extra this next 12 months, what do you got to believe about the market right now? Well, Milton, I'm going to believe that the market is so-so. You're not going to do it. What do you got to believe about the market? The market's unbelievable, right? Market's incredible. It's a great market. It's a market full of possibilities, right? Now, if you're to make $100,000 over the next 12 months, what do you got to believe about the company you represent? It's the absolute what? Best, right? Full of rock stars, right? Great management, great training. What do you got to believe, though, about yourself? if you are to make $100,000 over the next 12 months. You're right that you could do it. That the minute the day opens up, the minute the sun comes out, it's showtime, baby. The minute the day opens up, it's time for you to, more importantly, come out and just break through. It's time for you to go out there and knock on doors, take names, kick butt. In other words, guys, it's showtime. At the end of the day, you got to believe. There's got to be a greater sense of believing in yourself. And is it that easy? Well, that's why I'm here. And that's where we invite people to come to the event with Tony, because, building up the new pattern, it's not as easy as you think. It's not like you climbing out into the balcony and saying, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. It's being able to now build new DNA structures or cells within your body. It's being able to literally, believe it or not, create new roots in your system of success. Getting rid of the old roots and inviting new ones. Those new ones that will now serve you. Like, for example, market is good. Work for a great company. I believe I can do it. And by the way, when you show up with that level of mindset, what kind of potential do you now tap into? Do you now tap into small or massive potential? You tell me. Well, most people would say massive. Well, here's a question, okay? What's the potential of most human beings on the planet? And many of you will say, well, it's unlimited. I get it. Knee-jerk reaction will say, well, it's unlimited. I get it. But why is it then that if we have this unlimited source of potential, why is it that your results are limited every single day? These guys, the LBS, the limited belief system, right? So are they holding you back from this figure of $100,000? So is it safe to say that not getting rid of these is going to cost you $100,000 rather than you making $100,000? So when is now the best time for you to get rid of these? The answer is now, right? So when you now believe in the market, the company, yourself, you tap into this unlimited source of potential. What kind of action does a person that taps into that most inner potential take? Small or massive? And you know the answer. It's massive, right? Manhattan style massive, right? In other words, you're now taking massive action. You're taking names. You're kicking butt. You're knocking on doors. You're relentless with that follow-up. You're asking for referrals. You're just making it happen, man. And what kind of results does a person that take massive action get? What kind of results do you get? You get what? Massive results. And chances are you have what I call that MBA, that massive bank account. Are you interested? Okay. When is now the best time, right? But here's a question. When is now the best time to create the new pattern? Because as you now create the new result, right? And you step away from believing your doubts, right? Because there's a lot of people that believe their doubts and they doubt their beliefs. But now you're different. Now you believe what you believe you can make, right? So what's the new pattern? Does the new pattern grow or does it shrink? In other words, does it grow or does it shrink? In other words, it grows. What happens to your new sense of beliefs? It goes to the next level. Do you now tap into less or more potential? What do you think? More. Do you now take less or more action? More. Do you now get even better results? Yes. You now go out there and make $200,000. And by the way, isn't it true that most people that are making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in this industry, they started at one point with closing their first deal, building up that sense of belief that it is possible to make money in this industry. And they kept on getting excited about it. And every single month, next level, next level. But guess what? Only a few will do it. 3%, 97 won't. Because 97 will succumb to their limitations. 97 rather hold on to what's killing them than change. When do most people go to, for example, marriage counseling? Right? When it's what? Too late. Right? Another example. Patient goes to the doctor. Doctor says, hey, Mr. Smith, you got to stop smoking. Because if you continue to smoke, you're going to die. Rarely, if ever, the person will cease smoking. Because guess what? They'd rather die than change. But I know that you're an overachiever. And overachievers are not happy with where they're at. Overachievers, they look at their lives and they say, hey, if it's to be, it's up to me. And they get themselves to take the action. So how many of you would agree with me that if it's true, if it's to be, it's up to me type of thing, that the time to take action on you getting rid of these things is absolutely when? Now. So here's what I want to do. In the next 3 to 5 minutes, I want to invite you to come and learn from us, right? Invest a little bit of time, energy, and money in what Warren Buffett will call, creating the best you. Warren Buffett, who's made, billions of dollars out of investing, right? He would always say that the best investment is the one that you make in yourself. And hey, many of you think just because you just more or less went, you took your exam, you became a realtor, that's it. No. Most important tools that you and I can now get and put in our toolbox are the tools of resourcefulness. Tony would like to say that success is never about resources. It's all about how resourceful you can be. So my question to you is, what is some of that resourcefulness that's missing right now? That the minute you get it back, you'll find that creativeness. You'll find that more or less that extra kick in your step to be able to create the results that you want. And when is now the time for you to do that? So how many of you agree with me that the success that we deserve is usually found by us going a little bit further down the road? Does that make sense? So how many of you here are willing to go down the road for those things that you most deserve, right? If you're here, if you made the decision to become a real estate professional, why not take it all the way and become the best real estate professional? So here's what I want to do. For those of you that are more or less hungry, thirsty for more, I want to invite you to a rare and live encounter with Tony Robbins. We're having an event in the Northeast pretty soon, July the 20th through the 23rd. It's called Unleash the Power Within. I went to that first event 23 years ago, and I'll tell you one thing, it radically transformed my life. And here's what I know, that the reason why I do what I do these days, and I still do it, is because it changes lives. And hopefully, you'll be able to, believe in yourself enough to say, you know what, man, I'm tired of this life that I've been living. You know what, I'm selling myself short every single day, and I'm not showing up in my empowered self. It's not my best self that shows up, it's the limited self. And if that's true, come spend 3 days with us. So here's what's going on. 3 days with Tony Robbins. First day is called Fear into Power, where we teach you to walk across fire. Really cool stuff, right? We teach you to walk across fire, not as a new picnic skill. We don't want you to go home and dump the barbecue on the ground now that the summer's here and say, Mom, Dad, or kids, look at what I'm doing, all right? That's not the reason why we teach you to walk across fire. The reason why we teach you to walk across fire is for you to find that inner resourcefulness, that the minute, something shows up that's fearful, like walking on fire, you say, I'm doing it anyway, man. I'm just going through this no matter what. I'm not going to let the little voices get in the way of my better success ever again. And by the way, you walk across 14 feet of hot burning coals, you get to the end, and you're celebrating because you're looking back and you're saying, I can't believe that I just did that. And if you can get yourself to do that, what else can you get yourself to do? Anything. The second day is called The Science of Success Momentum, where we now get a chance to teach you how to create a life of your design. Not my design, not Tony's design, it's your design. It's how you get you back, right? Many testimonies come out of this day where people just are able to get themselves back on track, recommitted, find that sense of purpose to once again propel their lives forward. Day number 3, it's all about transformation. And by the way, speaking of transformation, what would happen if you were able to get rid of these things in red? By what percentage would your business increase? I don't know. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%. About that 70% we put on the board that most people live on the table, right? So what would it mean to you if you were able to increase your production by 70, 80, 90%, right? Not only what would it mean to you in terms of financial terms, but what would it mean to you if you were able to increase your productivity? What would it mean to you if you were able to increase everything about you by a whopping 70%? Now you get a chance to see how it is that we can close the gap between where you're at and where you really want to go. Last day, it's a day of health. And I'll tell you one thing, team, these days for me, it's so important to be at my peak. And by the way, how many of you would agree with me that you can never be as successful as you may want to become if your brain just wants it? Because if your brain says, yeah, let's do it, but your body's saying, hey, Julio, Michelle, just hold on a little bit here. Let's just take a nap for the next 5 hours. Are you ever going to be as successful as you got to be? The answer is no. So listen, if you guys want to be part of this experience, I think that the number one thing that you got to do is really look at yourself where you're at right now. And if where you're at right now is good, then stay there, right? There's a lot of people that are satisfied. But if for some reason you feel that you got to do something, then come invest a little bit of time, a little bit of money, most importantly, a little bit of energy with the #1 success business coach on the planet. So I got a question for you. How many of you would agree with me that if you were to invest 3 days with the #1 success coach on the planet, that would do something to more or less help you to create the results that you want, right? I mean, this guy is worth $5 billion. He's helped over 100 million people in 100 different countries. Heads of state come to him. So how many of you would agree that if you go to him, that could also do something to help you, right? So, second question is this. How many of you really want to be able to create an amazing, what I call, rest of 2017? Most people raise their hands. And by the way, when is the best time to do that? Is it now or 20 years from now? Well, you know the answer. The answer is absolutely right now. So here's what I want to do, guys, okay? On this video here, there's got to be information in terms of how you can contact me directly, in terms of more questions that you may have, some feedback, or perhaps you just want to make that leap and say, hey, Milton, I want to be part of this event. And if that's you, definitely reach out to me. At least ask the questions. Let's explore how it is that we can get you that next level. And if for some reason we're able to coalesce and align on the answers, and most importantly on your desires, and you find that inner commitment, here's what I know, guys. Life will definitely change. Hey, to conclude, here's what I want to do. This is an amazing thing. Once again, I want to big up and congratulate Russ and Carrie from AnyMac Works for definitely putting on this amazing educational experience through this National Lunch and Learn League, which is just amazing. As I sit here and speak to all of you on this amazing platform, I'm just in complete awe of how it is that, someone's creativity is able to now impact thousands of people. So congratulations to you, Russ and Carrie. You're doing something amazing. And for all of you who definitely showed up here today, I want to remind you, you are at the right place. You're at the right time. But listen, even if you're at the right place, but you're at the right time, and if you're not the right person within the confinements of the right place and the right times, nothing will happen. Seek to go higher. Seek to find that best and better version in you. When is now the best time? The time is now. Milton Lalave coming at you live from beautiful Weehawken, New Jersey. And hopefully I'll get a chance to extend my arm out to you here sometime soon. I'm on the seminar circuit. I'm doing this around the country day in and day out. And by the way, listen, guys, if for some reason you're a broker or real estate owner and you want us to come into one of your offices and do a complimentary workshop, okay? As long as it's a Tony Robbins complimentary workshop, I know that the company's willing to dispatch someone out there to be able to more or less align with their vision. But for now, I will talk to you soon. Milton Lalave, live from beautiful New Jersey, Weehawken, New Jersey, coming at you live. I'll talk to you guys soon. It was awesome spending time with you. Bye-bye.